The night was cold, darker than usual, and the wind howled across the broken colony streets. Dust blew through the ruins of old houses. Broken walls stood like skeletons, and the smell of burned metal still lingered from battles long ago. In that silence, only footsteps echoed, slow and heavy. A human traveler walked through the empty road, his coat pulled tight, his eyes scanning the shadows around him. He had come to trade supplies in the colony, but tonight something felt different. Something was hiding in the dark, watching, waiting. The human stopped near an alley. His ears caught a faint sound, like a soft whimper. It was weak, almost lost in the storm's howl, but it was there. He frowned, turned his head, and slowly stepped closer. At first he saw nothing, just scraps of cloth blowing in the wind. But then his eyes adjusted to the darkness and he froze. Two small figures crouched against the wall, trembling. Their bodies were thin, too thin. Their skin was pale under the dim moonlight. They were not human. He could see the faint glow in their large alien eyes, the shapes of their faces, the curves of their ears, their fragile forms. The two alien girls looked like shadows of life, their bones pressed against their skin, and their clothes, if they could be called clothes, were nothing but torn fabric, barely covering them. The younger one hid her face in her sister's shoulder, while the older one stared back at the human with eyes full of fear and defiance. For a moment, no one moved. The human stood still, his heart beating faster. He had heard rumors. Two abandoned alien sisters roaming the streets, unwanted, cast out from their people, left to starve. The colony called them cursed, unclean, better left to die. But seeing them now, huddled together, shaking in the cold, the human knew the truth. They were not cursed. They were just alone. The wind carried a sharp chill. The younger girl coughed, her small body trembling harder. The older one pulled her close, her lips moving silently as if whispering comfort. Her eyes never left the human. There was no trust in her gaze, only the fear of another person coming to hurt them. The human took a slow step forward. His boots scraped the ground and the girls flinched. The older one hissed softly, trying to shield her sister with her thin arms, as if ready to fight though she had no strength left. "I'm not here to hurt you," the man said, his voice low but firm. The wind almost swallowed his words, but the girls heard. He saw the way the older one's eyes flickered, suspicion fighting with desperation. Another cough came from the younger girl. It was weak, painful. Her small body bent forward, the human's chest tightened. He looked around. The streets were empty. Everyone had turned their backs on them. No one cared if they lived or died. His hand moved slowly. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small piece of bread, hard but still edible. He held it out. His hand stayed open, waiting. The smell reached them, and the younger girl lifted her head, her wide glowing eyes locked on the food. Hunger was stronger than fear, but the older sister pressed her back down, shaking her head. She didn't trust. The human crouched down, lowering himself to their level. His voice was softer now. "Take it. It's yours. I won't hurt you." Silence stretched. The wind howled. A door slammed somewhere far in the colony. The girls stayed frozen. Then slowly, very slowly, the younger one peeked out. Her thin fingers trembled as she reached. The older one whispered something in their alien tongue, but the younger girl's hunger was too strong. She grabbed the bread and held it tight, biting into it quickly. Tears welled in her glowing eyes as she chewed. The older girl watched every move, her face hard. Her pride wanted to refuse, but her stomach betrayed her. She stared at the man with defiance, but when he placed a second piece on the ground and pushed it gently toward her, her hand shot out, snatching it. She didn't say thank you, but she ate, fast and desperate. The human stayed crouched, watching, his eyes softened. These two girls had nothing, no family, no home, no clothes, no hope. Yet here they were, clinging to each other, refusing to die. His chest ached as he realized what they had endured. "Where is your home?" he asked quietly, but he already knew the answer. The older girl shook her head, her mouth tightening. She whispered something in her language, her voice bitter, hopeless. The human looked at them for a long time. His mind raced. He could walk away. Everyone else had. He could leave them to the cold, the hunger, the whispers of death. But something in his heart refused. Something in their eyes, so broken, so desperate, would not let him turn his back. The storm grew louder. The younger one shivered again, curling into her sister. The man's jaw clenched. He took a deep breath and his voice cut through the night, firm and clear. "Both of you, come home with me." The words hung in the air like fire in the dark. The girls froze, staring at him. They had never heard such words before. Not from their own people, not from anyone. The older girl's mouth opened as if to argue, to refuse, but no sound came. The younger one looked up with wide, shining eyes. The human extended his hand, steady, waiting. The storm raged around them, but in that small moment, hope sparked for the first time. The night was no longer silent. It was filled with the sound of a choice, the choice that would change all of their lives forever. The human's words hung heavy in the cold night air. "Both of you, come home with me." Thus, a storm howled louder, carrying dust and broken leaves across the empty road. The two alien girls did not move. Their wide, glowing eyes were locked on him, as if trying to decide if he was a savior or just another cruel trick of fate. The older sister clutched the younger one tighter. Her arms shook, not from strength but from weakness. Her body was too thin, her clothes nothing but scraps, yet her will to protect her sister was strong. She stared at the human's outstretched hand with suspicion. Her lips trembled, but she forced herself to speak in a broken mix of his language. Why? Why help us? No one wants us." Her voice cracked, low and filled with pain. The younger one buried her face against her sister's chest, afraid to even look at him. The human did not pull his hand back. His eyes stayed steady, calm but determined. "Because you deserve better than this," he said. "You should not be left here to die." The older girl blinked, her chest rising fast. She wanted to believe, but her mind screamed that it was a lie. They had heard promises before. Empty words, cruel laughter. People had thrown stones, shouted curses, driven them away. Hope was dangerous. Hope always ended in pain. But the younger girl, still trembling, whispered softly in their alien tongue. Her tiny voice was weak, but the human caught the tone. It was not fear. It was longing. She wanted to go. She wanted to follow. Her small hand twitched as if to reach. The older sister shook her head sharply, whispering back, desperate, "No, don't trust. Don't. He will hurt us." Her eyes darted around the empty streets. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every whisper of wind felt like another cruel voice. The human saw the struggle in her face. He slowly lowered his hand, not as defeat, but as a sign of patience. He reached into his coat again, pulling out not just food this time, but a folded piece of cloth. It was a blanket, worn but warm. He placed it gently on the ground, then stepped back. It was a blanket, worn but warm. He placed it gently on the ground, then stepped back. The girl stared, confused. He pushed the blanket closer with his boot. "You are cold," he said. "Take it." The younger one reached first, her small fingers grabbing the edge. She pulled it close around her body, pressing her cheek against the fabric. A tiny sigh escaped her lips. It was the first sound of comfort in a long time. The older girl's eyes softened for a second. Then she looked back at the human. Her voice was sharp again. "If we come, what then? You keep us for work? For—" She stopped, her jaw tight. Shame flickered across her face. The man's expression hardened. His voice cut through the storm. "No, not for work, not for anything. Only for home, for food, for safety. That is all." Silence. The words seemed impossible. The older girl searched his face, looking for lies, but she found none. He stood steady, like stone, not pushing, not demanding, just waiting. The younger one tugged on her sister's arm, her glowing eyes pleading. The older girl's heart cracked. She wanted to say no, to keep walls around them, but her sister's tiny frame was shivering, her breath shallow. If they stayed out here, she would not last another night. Finally, with trembling lips, the older girl whispered, If you lie, if you hurt her, I will fight you." Her voice was weak, but her will was strong. The human nodded once, his voice calm. "Good, protect her. Never stop. But you will see, I do not lie." The older sister's chest rose and fell fast. She hesitated, her whole body tense. Then, slowly, carefully, She took the man's hand. Her fingers were cold like ice, her grip weak but desperate. The younger girl gasped softly. Then she too reached out, her tiny hand wrapping around his other. For the first time, the three of them were linked together. The storm blew dust across their feet, but in that moment, it felt like the world had gone still. The man looked at them both and said again with quiet strength, "Both of you, come home." The girls rose unsteadily. Their legs wobbled, but his steady hands helped them stand. They clutched the blanket around their thin bodies as he led them out of the alley. Step by step, they walked away from the ruins that had been their prison. But as they left, unseen eyes watched from the shadows. Neighbors peered from behind cracked windows, whispers spreading quickly. The human took them. Why? Why would he? The colony did not forgive kindness to the unwanted. The man had just made himself a target, yet he walked on, silent, with two fragile lives beside him. And though the night was cold, the fire of his choice burned bright. The two girls looked up at him, still afraid, still unsure, but for the first time, there was a spark of something new in their eyes. It was not full trust, not yet, but it was the beginning of hope. The road to his home was long and silent. The storm had eased, but the wind still cut through the night like knives. The two alien girls walked close to the human, their thin feet dragging across the broken ground. Every step looked painful. Their small hands clutched the blanket tightly around their bodies, as if afraid someone might rip it away. The human said little as they walked. His eyes scanned the streets. He could feel the stairs. Shadows shifted in the windows. Whispers followed them like ghosts. Why them? Why take them? But he kept walking, shoulders squared. He did not care for the whispers. The older girl's eyes darted around nervously. She expected someone to stop them, to throw stones, to shout. But no one stepped forward. No one dared face the human openly. They only watched. Their silence was sharp, like knives pressed against his back, after what felt like hours. The human's house came into view. It was small, built of stone and metal, standing at the edge of the colony where few dared to live. Smoke still rose faintly from the chimney, and a dim light flickered inside. The younger girl stumbled at the sight. Her small body swayed with exhaustion. The human quickly bent down, scooping her into his arms. She gasped, but did not resist. Her head fell against his chest, too tired to fight. The older sister froze, her face tightened. "Put her down," she said in a shaky voice. She can walk." The human looked at her, his eyes calm but firm. "She is tired. She will fall." The older girl's lips pressed together. She wanted to argue, to prove they needed no one, but her sister's shallow breath silenced her. She lowered her gaze and said nothing. They reached the door. The human pushed it open. Warmth spilled out. The smell of firewood and bread filled the air. The two girls stopped in the doorway. Their glowing eyes widened. They had not felt warmth like this in a long time. Inside, the room was simple but alive. A fire burned in the hearth, casting light on a table, two chairs, and a bed covered with rough blankets. The walls were lined with shelves holding tools and supplies. To the girls, it looked like a palace. The human placed the younger girl gently on the bed. She curled into the blanket, her body trembling less now. Her eyes fluttered as if she might fall asleep at once. The older sister stayed by the door, her arms crossed tightly, her eyes never leaving him. He turned to her. "You can sit, warm yourselves. You are safe here." She shook her head, her voice low. "Safe? No place is safe. They will come for us, always." The human studied her. He could see the hardness in her eyes, the wall she had built to protect her sister. It was strong, but it was also breaking. He did not argue. He only pointed to the fire. "At least let her feel warmth. At least let her eat." Her jaw clenched, but slowly she stepped forward, guiding her sister closer to the fire. The younger one sighed, her small hands reaching toward the flames as if they were magic. The human went to the table, pulling bread from a small sack. He placed it in front of them. The older girl stared at it, then at him. Her voice was sharp. "Why do this? You will lose everything. The colony hates us. If you keep us, they will hate you too." He sat down slowly, his gaze steady. "Then let them. I don't care what they think." Her chest rose quickly. She did not understand. No one had ever spoken like that. No one had risked anything for them. Yet here was a man offering warmth, food, and a home. The younger girl reached for the bread, nibbling carefully this time, not like the desperate hunger in the alley. Her lips curved into something almost forgotten, a small, shy smile. The human felt his chest warm at the sight, but he stayed silent. He knew trust would not come fast. Later, as the fire burned low, the younger girl finally lay down, her small body wrapped in blankets, her breathing softened. She had not slept this peacefully in years. The older sister sat near her, still watching the human closely. Her voice was quiet now, tired but sharp. "If you betray us, if you send us away, she will die. I will not forgive you." The man looked at her, his face serious. His voice was low but certain. "I will not betray you, not today, not tomorrow, not ever." The words seemed impossible, yet something in his voice made her chest ache. She looked at her sister sleeping peacefully, then back at him. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope he might be telling the truth. But outside, the colony's whispers grew louder. Angry voices spread through the night. Neighbors muttered, leaders frowned. They would not let this act of defiance pass so easily. Inside the small house, warmth filled the air. A fragile beginning had been made, a shelter, not just of stone and fire, but of something far stronger, of choice, of kindness, of hope. And though danger waited beyond the door, for the first time in years, the two alien girls had a place they could call home. The night outside was restless, wind clawing at the shutters. The colony never slept in peace. But inside the human's small home, there was something different, something the two alien girls had not felt in a long time. Warmth. The younger girl slept curled in blankets near the fire. Her face, once tight with hunger, now looked calm. Her small chest rose and fell softly. Her hands clutched the edge of the cloth as if she feared it would vanish if she let go. The older sister sat close, her eyes never leaving her sibling. Her body was tense, every muscle ready to spring if danger came. She had promised herself she would never rest, never again, not while her sister lived. But her eyes were heavy, her bones ached, and still she forced herself to stay awake. The human sat at the table, sharpening a small blade. The sound of metal on stone filled the silence, steady and calm. His eyes flicked up now and then, watching the sisters. He saw the way the younger one clung to the blanket, the way the older one watched him with suspicion, like a cornered wolf. Hours passed. The storm grew stronger. Thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning flashed through the cracks in the shutters. The younger girl whimpered in her sleep. Her small body shook. A cry escaped her lips, sharp and frightened. The older sister leaned forward at once, whispering quickly in their tongue, stroking her sister's hair. But it wasn't enough. The girl's eyes shot open, glowing with fear. She clutched her sister, whispering, "Don't let them take me. Please don't let them." The older one's heart broke. She pressed her forehead against her sister's and whispered, "No one will take you. I promise." But even as she said it, her voice trembled. She did not fully believe it herself. The human set down the blade. His chair creaked as he stood. He walked over slowly. His steps were steady. He knelt by the bed. His voice was soft but strong. "You are safe here. No one will take you. Not while I live." The younger girl looked at him through frightened tears. Her small hand reached out, hesitating. Then it touched his sleeve, gripping weakly. She buried her face against him, sobbing. The older sister stiffened. Shock rushed through her body. She had expected her sibling to cling only to her, never to a stranger. Her heart raced. Her pride wanted to pull her sister back. But when she saw the calm on the child's face, when she saw how her trembling slowed as the human's steady hand rested on her shoulder, she felt something strange. It was not betrayal. It was relief. The younger girl soon fell asleep again, this time with her hand still curled in the man's sleeve, refusing to let go. The human did not move. He sat there until her breathing calmed, only then standing slowly, careful not to wake her. The older sister's eyes followed him. Her voice came quiet but sharp. "Why? Why care so much? She is not yours. We are nothing to you." The man looked at her. His face was unreadable, his voice steady. Because no one should feel worthless. Because no one should be left alone in the dark. Her breath caught. She wanted to argue, but the words would not come. Instead, she looked away, staring into the fire. The hours slipped by. Silence grew heavy again. Then a sound broke it. A faint scrape outside. The human froze. His eyes narrowed. He moved to the window, pulling the curtain aside just slightly. Shadows moved outside, more than one. They didn't knock, they didn't call. They only lingered, watching. The man's jaw tightened. He reached for his blade. The older girl's breath quickened. She knew those shadows. She knew the hatred of the colony. They hadn't forgotten. They wanted the sisters gone. The human's voice was low. They're watching us. The older girl's hands clenched. Head, they will come. They always come. They don't stop. The human turned from the window, his face calm but hard. Then let them come. They will find I don't scare easily. For the first time, a flicker of surprise touched her face. No one had ever spoken like that before. No one had ever stood between them and danger. The night dragged on. The watchers outside eventually faded into the storm. But the message was clear. They would return. Inside, by the dim fire, something small shifted. The older girl, though still wary, let herself lean back slightly. Her eyes softened as she watched her sister sleeping in peace for the first time in years. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. She smiled tonight, I thought. I thought she had forgotten how. The human sat again at the table, his eyes steady on the flames. She will smile more. You will too. Just give it time. The older girl looked at him sharply, but she said nothing. Yet deep in her chest, where fear had lived for so long, a seed of trust began to take root. Fragile but alive. That night, 3 souls shared one fragile shelter, bound not by blood, but by something far stronger, choice. And though danger circled outside, inside those walls a bond was beginning to form. Morning came slowly, pale light slipping through the cracks of the shutters. The storm was gone, leaving behind silence. But it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of a colony, watching, waiting. The human rose early, as he always did. He placed more wood on the fire and set a small pot to boil. The smell of warm broth began to spread through the little home. He glanced at the bed. The younger alien girl still slept, her small body curled tight, her face peaceful. The older sister sat beside her, awake, her glowing eyes fixed on him with quiet suspicion. You stayed, she said at last, her voice rough from the night. I thought you would leave us outside before dawn. The man shook his head. No, you're safe here. Her lips pressed tight, as if she wanted to argue, but she said nothing more. A knock broke the silence, sharp and heavy against the door. The sound made the older girl flinch. She clutched her sister closer. The younger one stirred in her sleep, whispering softly. The man's eyes narrowed. He set down the pot and walked to the door. He did not open it right away. Instead, he called out, Who is it? A harsh voice answered, Open, human. We need words. The man pulled the door open a crack. Outside stood 3 colony leaders. Their clothes were finer, their faces proud. Behind them, neighbors had gathered. Watching with cold eyes, the leaders pushed forward, their voices like knives. You brought them here, one spat. Those cursed ones, those who were cast out. You dare break our law? The man's hand gripped the edge of the door tighter. His voice stayed calm. I gave them food, warmth, nothing more. The tallest leader sneered. Nothing more? They are poison. They bring shame. They bring danger. You know why they were cast out. You cannot keep them. From behind him, the older sister's voice cut through, sharp and bitter. We were cast out because we were small, weak, not fit to work. That was the only curse. The leaders' faces twisted in disgust. Silence, girl. You have no right to speak. The human's jaw tightened. He opened the door wider, stepping out so he stood between the leaders and the 2 sisters. His voice was firm now. They are not poison. They are children. They deserve life. Murmurs rose from the crowd. Some scoffed. Others looked uneasy. But the leaders did not back down. You defy us, one growled. If you keep them, you turn against the colony. We cannot allow this. The human's eyes hardened. Then you will have to. The words shocked the crowd. A gasp rippled through them. No one spoke to the leaders this way. The tallest leader stepped closer, his face inches from the man's. His voice was low and full of threat. If you shelter them, you will share their fate. Do you understand? Exile, hunger, ruin. You will be nothing. The human did not flinch. His reply was cold, steady. Better nothing with them than everything without. For a moment, silence fell heavy. The leaders stared at him, their pride burned, their anger rising. Then they turned sharply, their cloaks snapping in the wind as they walked away. The crowd followed, muttering darkly. The human closed the door and barred it, his hands tight on the wood. He let out a slow breath. He knew what was coming. This was only the beginning. Inside, the older sister looked at him with wide eyes. Her voice was sharp, but beneath it trembled something else. You just defied them. You know what that means. He turned to her, his face calm. Yes, I know. She shook her head, disbelief in her voice. Why risk everything for us? We are not worth it. The human's gaze softened. You are worth more than they'll ever admit. The younger girl stirred, waking. Her glowing eyes blinked open. She yawned softly, unaware of the storm outside the door. She looked at the man and smiled faintly. It's warm, she whispered, her voice weak but happy. The human smiled back, though his heart was heavy. Yes, it is. But outside, the colony leaders were already plotting. They would not allow their power to be challenged. They would return, not with words, but with something far more dangerous. As the day moved on, the human worked quietly, preparing. He checked his tools, reinforced the shutters, stored food. He did not say it aloud, but he knew. Soon, they would try to take the girls from him. The older sister watched every move. Her suspicion was still there, but now mixed with something new, something she was afraid to name: trust. When night came again, the fire burned low. The younger girl lay curled in sleep, her tiny hands resting in safety. The older sister sat in silence, her eyes fixed on the man. At last, she whispered, so soft it was, almost lost in the crackle of the fire. If they come, you will fight for us? The man did not look at her. His eyes were on the door. His voice was calm but strong. Yes, until my last breath. Her chest tightened, her eyes filled with something she hadn't felt in years. Hope mixed with fear. For the first time, she almost believed him. But outside, in the shadows of the colony, anger burned hotter. The threat was real, and it was coming closer. The colony did not wait long. By the second night, whispers had turned into shouts, and shouts had turned into torches. The human heard them before he saw them. The low rumble of angry voices, the stomp of boots in the dirt. Inside his home, the fire burned low. The younger alien girl slept in the corner, wrapped in blankets, her breathing soft and peaceful. The older sister sat near the hearth, her eyes sharp, her body tensed when the noise reached her ears. They're coming, she whispered. Her voice trembled, but not with surprise, with certainty. The human rose from his chair. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. He checked the door's wooden bar, then moved toward the window. Outside, he saw them, dozens of colonists carrying sticks, chains, and crude weapons, their faces twisted with hate. At the front stood the three leaders, their cloaks flowing. The younger girl stirred in her sleep, as if sensing danger. The older one rushed to her side, pulling her close. Stay down, she whispered. Don't be afraid. But inside, she was terrified. She had no strength to fight, and she knew what these people wanted. The human stepped into the center of the room. His hand rested on a heavy iron tool, not a weapon of war, but enough to defend. His voice was steady as he looked at the sisters. They'll try to take you, but I won't let them. The older girl stared at him, disbelief flickering in her glowing eyes. You can't fight all of them, she whispered. They will kill you. His jaw tightened. Maybe, but they'll never lay hands on you while I stand. The words struck her heart like fire. For so long, they had only heard people say they were worthless, cursed, better left in the dirt. Now someone said he would die before giving them up. She wanted to cry, but her pride held her still. The door shook violently. Fists pounded against it. The bar creaked. Splinters fell to the floor. Voices roared, "Give them up! Give us the cursed ones!" The man shouted back, his voice deep and strong. No! They are under my roof. You will not touch them. The crowd outside erupted with rage. The door shuddered again under the weight of their anger. The older sister clutched the younger, her heart racing. She whispered, "They'll break it. They'll come in." The human turned to her, his eyes steady. "Then I'll stand here, and when they see I will not move, some will lose their courage." The pounding grew louder. The leader shouted, "Human, think carefully. Do not throw away your life for them. They are nothing. The man gripped the iron tool tighter. His voice roared back. They are not nothing. They are everything. And if you want them, then step through this door and face me. Inside, the girls stared, their glowing eyes wide. No one had ever spoken like that for them. No one had ever called them everything. The crowd outside hesitated. The leaders barked orders. But the colonists looked uneasy. Some shuffled their feet, doubt creeping in. They had never seen a man stand so tall, so fearless, against all of them. The leaders snarled, "Break it down!" The pounding began again, harder this time. The wood cracked, dust fell from the beams. The younger girl whimpered, burying her face in her sister's arms. The older one held her tight. Her eyes flicked to the man. For the first time, her fear mixed with something stronger, a spark of pride. He stood like a wall, unmoving, his body ready, his voice calm. "Stay behind me, no. And we'll touch you." The door split. A plank broke, hands reached through, grasping, pulling. The man swung his iron tool down, smashing against the wood. The intruders yelped and pulled back. The crowd roared in anger. But still, he did not yield. He blocked the opening with his body, his eyes blazing. "If you want them, you'll have to kill me first." The words cut through the night like lightning. The colonists faltered. Their anger met with something stronger. His will. For a moment, silence spread. Only the crackle of the fire and the girl's quick breathing filled the air. Then one by one, the crowd began to step back. Fear was stronger than hate. No one wanted to be the first to face him. The leaders snarled, humiliated. "This isn't over," one spat. "You've made your choice, and you'll regret it." The man's voice rang out, calm but deadly serious. "Yes, I've made my choice. They stay with me, always." The leaders turned sharply, their cloaks snapping in the wind. The crowd followed, muttering, their torches disappearing into the night. Inside, the human lowered the iron tool. His chest rose and fell heavily. Sweat ran down his brow, but his eyes were steady. He turned to the girls. The younger was crying softly, her small body shaking. The older held her close, her glowing eyes locked on him. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered, almost in disbelief, "You meant it. You really meant it." He nodded once, his voice quiet but strong. Every word. The older sister's throat tightened. She bowed her head, a tear slipping down her cheek. For the first time, she whispered, not with suspicion, but with something else. "Thank you." The night was not safe. The threat was not gone. But inside that small house, something unbreakable had been born. A stand had been taken, and with it, a bond sealed in fire. The night after the standoff passed in uneasy silence. The leaders had left, but their threats still hung in the air like smoke. The human did not sleep. He sat in the chair near the door, his iron tool across his lap, his eyes steady. The younger alien girl slept curled against her sister, breathing soft and peaceful. For once, no nightmares came. The older sister stayed awake longer, watching the man. She expected him to break, to change his mind by morning, but he never moved, never wavered. He guarded them as if they were his own blood. When dawn came, pale light spilled across the floorboards. The man rose, stretching his tired muscles. He walked to the window, pulling the curtain aside. Outside, the colony was quiet, but not friendly. People passed by quickly, whispering, staring at his home with cold eyes. The older sister noticed, her voice sharp. "They'll never stop. You know that, don't you?" He nodded, his tone calm. "I know. That's why we can't stay here." Her eyes widened. "Leave? Where?" He looked at her and then at her younger sister, still sleeping softly. "Anywhere the colonies reach doesn't matter. A place where no one will call you cursed again." The older sister's chest tightened. She wanted to believe such a place existed, but her life had been nothing but rejection. Still, something in his voice carried weight, like a promise already made. By noon, he had packed supplies. Food, blankets, tools, a small bundle of clothes. The girls watched in silence. The younger one clutched the blanket he had given her, refusing to let it go. Her glowing eyes looked at him with trust that grew a little more each hour. Finally, he turned to them, his voice firm but gentle. "It won't be easy. The road is dangerous. But with me, you will have more than scraps. You will have a chance." The older girl studied him long. Her pride still wanted to resist, to coo. Estian. But deep in her heart, she knew the truth. Alone, they would not last. With him, they had hope. At last, she gave a small nod. The human opened the door, leading them out. The sun hit their faces, bright and sharp. The colony stared as they stepped into the street. Mothers pulled their children aside. Men spat into the dirt. Whispers rose like smoke. "There he goes," someone hissed, taking them with him, throwing his life away. "He chooses the cursed," another spat. The human ignored them all. His shoulders squared, his steps steady. The two girls walked close at his side, clinging to the blanket. The leaders stood at the far end of the street, their arms crossed, their faces full of contempt. The tallest spoke, his voice cutting through the crowd. "Leave then, human. Take your filth with you. You'll find no welcome, no home, not anywhere." The man stopped, turning to face them. His eyes blazed with quiet fire. His voice was strong, carrying so all could hear. "I don't need your welcome. I don't need your home. I have one already, because they walk with me." The crowd fell into stunned silence. Some gasped, others muttered angrily, but a few looked away, ashamed. The leaders sneered, but they said nothing more, and so he walked past them, out of the colony gates. The two alien girls followed, each step heavy but full of something new, freedom. The road stretched wide ahead, hills rolling in the distance, forests whispering with life. The younger girl slipped her hand into his, her small fingers clinging tightly. Her voice was soft. "Where do we go?" He looked down at her, his expression calm but warm. "Somewhere better, somewhere we'll make our own." The older sister walked on his other side, her glowing eyes sharp but softer than before. Her voice was quiet, almost reluctant. "You really mean to keep us, don't you?" His answer came without pause. "Yes, always." She lowered her head, her throat tight. For so long, she had carried only bitterness. Now, for the first time, she let herself whisper words she had not spoken in years. "Then we'll stay. We'll believe you." The human gave a single nod, his steps steady, his heart firm. The sun rose higher, warming their backs as they walked. The colony behind them grew smaller, until it was nothing more than a shadow. Ahead was only open land, dangerous and wild but free. For the two alien girls who once had no home, no clothes, no hope, the impossible had happened. They had a protector. They had a chance. They had someone who saw them not as curses, but as lives worth saving. And as they walked, hand in hand, the younger girl whispered softly, her eyes bright with something she had almost forgotten: joy. "We have a home now," she said. The human smiled faintly, his voice steady. "Yes, you do, and as long as I live, you always will." The wind carried the words across the road ahead, a promise etched into the very air. Behind them, the colony's hate burned on, but it no longer mattered. For the first time, the two alien girls were not alone. They had found their home, and their home was him.